So I'm driving today, and I was driving in Indianapolis, and a really cool song came on, and I immediately recognized it was Owl City. I don't know what album it was from. I don't know a lot of his music. I just know when it's Owl City because it's so distinct. And this song, I don't even remember the lyrics. All I know is when I was listening to it, I'm like, oh, this song is awesome. Because it was just about shining in the darkness, and how our lives are called to shine. And it really got me thinking about uh, life, about what life is all about. And I really want to get a hold of that song if I can ever figure out what the name of it is and play it during youth group sometime and talk about it. But God's called us to shine. And in the book of Daniel, it says, "Those who lead many to righteousness will shine like stars. Those who lead many to righteousness will shine like stars." And that's what we're really called to. But in the song, it also pointed out that sometimes our world is a dark world, and like seeing a shooting star, seeing a shooting star across the sky, the dark night sky. That's what our lives are called to shine like, even brighter than that, because we have Christ at the center of our lives. And in our high school, just a couple weeks ago, like within the last couple weeks, we've had some serious fights, and big time fights, really violent, really pretty brutal, pretty nasty stuff. And man, that just turns my stomach. And it can create a lot of fear when we're living in a world where there's fights, when we're living in a world where there's political stuff going on, where there's mudslinging, and we see commercials on TV where this guy says he's a good guy, but he really does bad things, and all this kind of stuff that happens. When we're living in a world where there's wars and there's difficult stuff, and I mean, we live in a dark world, and sometimes we can feel that. I mean, I've worked with students long enough to have conversations, and I hear stuff about what life is like at home sometimes for some students, or depression that people are going through, or even suicidal thoughts, all these different things. We live in a world and in a community where I'm at and where we're at, where there's synthetic marijuana and there's other kinds of drugs going on, and it's really messing up people's lives. And man, it's just tough stuff. And it's easy for me to look at the world we're living in and start to feel a burden. Like, man, this is just hard. It's hard to live in this world. And it feels dark sometimes. Sometimes you look at all the different stuff in the newspaper or on the news or on the internet, or even in your own school or your own neighborhood, you see stuff going on, and you're like, man, this is just a dark world. It doesn't feel right. And but you know what? A phrase that I've started to really use to remind myself of what we're called to be is, the darker the night, the brighter the light. The darker the night, the brighter the light. If you're in a pitch black room and you just flip open your cell phone will just kind of illuminate that whole room. Or you just light a little candle, man, it could be just in the corner of the room, but you can start to see all the rest of what's going on in that room, and your eyes drawn to that light. If you're in a dark room and there's an exit sign, well, your eyes automatically drawn to that exit sign, even if it's like red or green, because it's the only light there. And I like to think of our lives as Christ followers as kind of that exit sign. You know, we are an exit sign that is, draws people out of the darkness into the light. We draw people out of the dark room that they're in, out of the darkness that they're in. We draw them toward the one who can really give them an exit out of the darkness that they experience in life, and that's Christ. And so when you think about yourselves and you think about the dark world and you start to feel depressed or down about the world around you, I want you to remind yourself that if you have Christ in your life, He puts His Spirit in you to live in you. And the Holy Spirit at Pentecost, when He came as a flame of fire. It says tongues of fire came and landed on each of the disciples that were in that upper room. And so Jesus, Holy Spirit that He sent, was like a flame of fire. And that Spirit, that flame of fire, is in you too. And so all this is to kind of demonstrate this candle effect in a dark room, or the exit sign effect, or the cell phone effect, whatever you want to call it, where just a tiny little bit of light in a really dark place will draw everybody's attention to it, because the eye is naturally drawn to light. And I think the eyes of our hearts are naturally drawn to light too. And so, in your school, in your home, in your community, with your friends, with family, whatever, when there's darkness around you, when we see the darkness in the world around you, especially in the lives of people around us, we just need to remind ourselves, we've got Christ in us, the hope of glory. And remind yourself that you have that exit sign effect, you have that candle effect, that cell phone effect in a dark room. The darker the night, the brighter the light. So be encouraged that God is going to use you as that light, that bright light that can draw people away from the darkness and towards something better, that can bring hope to people, that can bring hope to a world that's dark. So I want to encourage you, no matter what's going on in our world, no matter what hard things are going on, no matter what things that seem scary or feel not right, just remember, the darker the night, the brighter the light. And Christ is in you, the hope of glory to shine. His Spirit's in you, that flame of fire that'll bring light to the dark world. And remember, once people, pay attention to you and you've got their attention, and they start asking questions about the light that you have inside of you, don't be shy about telling them about Christ. Don't be shy. Because those who lead many to righteousness will shine like stars. So be encouraged. God's using you to be a light in our world. And we're going to make a difference for Christ as He uses us. All right. Thanks for checking out this video, Devo to Go. I hope it encourages you. And, man, we're on a journey together. I'm excited.